But do you think most men would hold up if the inspection went deeper than just walking around the outside?
If you see a man who seems to have it all together, your first question leading in is what's really going on? Well, you just tend to assume that guys are doing well. If the image is there, they're putting a good front on. Most guys don't want to go 2 questions in. How's work? Good. How's family? Good. How's the partner? Good. We go, oh, good. When are we fishing? We move on really, really quickly and not go, well, what does good really look like? We don't usually have the skills or we don't think past that point.
If you can call yourself out prior to someone else calling you out, then it's going to be a lot easier to fix, right? Whereas if someone's calling you out, then you've already gone too far.
Sometimes it's just that fear of being vulnerable. It's the fear of being, I don't want to be exposed. Why would I want to expose part of me that could be seen as a weakness? Because especially the front that men are supposed to have.
We talk about opening up and being vulnerable and all that sort of stuff. And for the average Joe, thinking about who do I do that to? Are you talking about that I've got to go to a therapist, or can I open up to my wife? Can I open up to my best mate? I mean, that's your choice to make, and you need to make sure that whoever you do open up to isn't beating you down or saying you're weak or whatever like that. Because if you are saying that to a mate and they're saying, mate, just harden up, then you need a new mate.
How many men do you think actually see them as warnings and early signs of an internal collapse? Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Men's Collective podcast, the place where we don't just scratch the surface, we aim to get right under the skin and into the real stuff. We are the Average Joes, Wayne Taylor here, and I'm joined again by a legendary panel. We've got Jamie, as you all know, as the Mr. Do You Know What I Mean? That's a bit of an inside joke. We've got the 2020 winner of the multi-award-winning TV show, The Block. Great friend of the show too. Welcome back, Jimmy, for his 3rd time.
Thank you.
And first time to the show. It's a guy I've known for nearly 30 years, which in itself sounds crazy, but good buddy of mine, Steve, also joining. Gents, good to have you back.
Hey boys.
Thanks for having us.
Jimmy with his new job, haven't seen him for a few months.
Yes, I've been busy. Been away for 4 months. I was at the academy from January to May, and then just on shift as a full-time firefighter. So loving it.
Have you fought any fires yet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
my job.
Is it bad that I actually don't know if there's been fires? I should probably know if there's been some.
No, you shouldn't. There's lots of little ones around. 70% of our work is road crash. So
Yeah, wow.
car crashes, all that sort of rescue stuff. So
Yeah, okay.
fires are a pretty small part of the job.
Yeah, right. Well, mate, we appreciate what you do in the community, mate. Absolute legend.
Thank you.
Steve, working for your first time, mate?
Yeah, mate, I couldn't be more overqualified for Average Joes. We've got a firefighter, a regular, and Steve. Good intro.
You're the below average Joe.
We'll have a show on the edge. So it's a new podcast starting next week.
No, good to have you, Jamie. Always good to have you too, buddy.
Thanks, mate. Good to
Always
see you, boys.
Add a lot of value, mate. Good to have you right there. Do you like how I introed you before too? The Mr. Do You Know What I Mean?
Mate, I know exactly what you mean.
I reckon there's going to be 12 of those come out today.
Yeah,
Gonna
we'll
keep-
see.
gonna keep-
We'll see.
keep tally.
We need the
Tally,
counter.
on the
We
screen.
need the counter.
Well, look, more importantly, we're absolutely stoked to have you, our audience, our listeners, here for another episode. So, guys, thanks for joining us back. The feedback we've received these last few weeks and even these past few days, absolutely incredible. So, I appreciate those. What actually blows us away here is not just the amount of women that listen to the show, but the amount of women that actually comment and write in saying how much they love the podcast personally, which surprised me, but it's even their husbands getting so much out of it, which is great because telling us how much they enjoy it too. So a huge shout out to the women. Look, at the end of the day, the better we become as men, the better we can serve you, and the more you get the men that you deserve in your lives. So it's great. We even shared into the group chat this week, just a couple of days ago actually, a long message that was sent in from a lady saying that the podcast is a highlight of her week, saying that she waits eagerly for it to drop each week purely because of what she learns about men due to the depth that we take these topics each week, stuff like that. So, hey, really appreciate that to all the women out there. Look, before we dive into this one, a quick ask. If you like the podcast and you think it's helping you level up, challenge your thinking, or even just feel like a little bit less alone in this madness of life, really have no idea how much of an impact it makes for us by simply just hitting that subscribe and like button, dropping us a 5-star review, sharing it with another bloke who really needs to hear it. So look, we hear it over and over again, how much you've loved the content. The biggest help you can give us each just by literally giving us an organic share, reviewing it online. So get at it. Also want to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of the show, people behind us, helping us push this message out, which is One Life Property, multi-award winning property development company here on the coast, doing amazing things, so check them out. Look, fellas, this week's topic I'm calling rust, or could even say hidden rust. I want to start with a story about my own ute. This time last year, I went to trade in my ute, my trusty ute that I had since brand new. It was the 2019 Holden Colorado. I bought it brand new for near 50 grand, back when cars had that normal pre-COVID price. It was a decent looking ute, lifted, cleaned, 4x4, sign written all over, no body damage. I had 2 big spotties put on the front, kick-ass body kit added. After I bought it, just loved the ute, all round great ute. But on the outside, absolute banger. And I went into 4 places to get a trade-in price on it to get the new Hilux. Feedback on my ute was that it was worth around about the 23, 24K mark, which was totally expected. Then I went to a Ford dealership, and he did something that no other car yard did. After a standard walk around and the tyre kicking and checking it out, he asked if he could take it over to the lifts. Obviously, I said yes. After about 30 minutes, comes back, said that he'd give me $11,000 for the car. Kind of chuckled at it and said that's about, half what everyone else was saying. But he then said to me, look, jump on the ground real quick, mate. I want to show you something underneath. So I jumped on the ground with him, stuck my head underneath, and he said, I want to show you something. So we did, and he pointed out I had a big rusty part on the chassis. He said, look right there, mate, that main joint right there, right along, whole thing's been rusted through. And he even said to me, I'm surprised, mate, that it hasn't given away already. In fact, I probably wouldn't even drive it out of the car yard. One hard bump, this thing's going to crack right through. You're going to either kill yourself or kill someone else. He said the body work at the end of the day was mint. Interior, spot on. It had everything a nice looking ute needed. But underneath, quietly, slowly, and invisibly, it was on its last legs, and no one knew it. The thing about hidden rust is it doesn't scream for attention, but it's there, eating away at the strength, weakening the structure, and affecting the core. At the end of the day, you get what I'm trying to say. And one unexpected bump can crack it wide open, and I would have been in absolute serious trouble. Sadly, it's what a lot of us men look like. On the surface, we're solid, we're capable, smiling, laughing, but deep down, corroding. Unspoken fears, shame, stress, old wounds, brokenness. I could go on and on and on. All it takes in life is one hard, unexpected bump, and you're done. You're broken. So today, I want to talk about hidden rust in our lives. How do we get get on the ground, slide under, and look at those rusting joints, the ones that are major that no one sees, sometimes not even yourself. We're here to help you look for it in your own life as we search through our own as well. This episode is about inspecting your own life's chassis, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. We want to look at it all. What areas in your life are quietly breaking down? What signs are, you ignoring? And who or what do you need to finally start dealing with it? So because this isn't about shame and things like that, it's about actually restoration, restoring our lives as men so that we can become, at the end of the day, better men, like we always say. It's about becoming men with strength. It goes beyond the surface of what people see. So I want to get into it. I want to look into it as 3 parts: spotting the rust, what's feeding the rust, and then how we can fix the rust. So gents, I'm going to start with a yes or no like I normally do. Come back to you for your reasons why. Ready to get into it? Was that the world's longest intro? Started to nearly get a packed lunch just to have a break in between.
Mate, I'm pretty impressed because I know how much of a perfectionist you were, and there was a couple of pauses in there, and you kept going. So well done,
just
mate.
push through
well
that
done.
one.
Yeah, man, it's very good.
Thanks, Jamie, because normally I'm a lot short. I get like 5 takes, and that was a super long one on first one through.
And you rock through it. So well done. You're growing, mate. You're doing better.
Wayne, is that red light supposed to be on?
Damn. Hit record now to go again. Take 2. Now, look, fellas, start with the yes or no. Rust. Is it important enough to give attention to? Jamie, I'll start with you. Rust, important enough to give attention?
Yes, it is.
Steve-O.
Yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
Jimmy?
100%.
Righto. I want to hear why. Jamie, why is it important to give attention to rust in our lives?
Well, I'm pretty sure, isn't it that iron, the only thing that sort of like breaks iron or destroys iron is rust? Like, and it comes in and actually eats off itself over a period of time. So even some of the strongest things, the rust is the thing that eats away at it. So, and a lot of the time, like, there's things that you can just ignore it, but then over time, it's going to get you. Whatever you're trying to hide, it's going to come up eventually. So.
I like it. Steve-O, why is it important to give it attention, buddy?
Yeah, man, I got a similar story to yours. I bought a Colorado about a year ago from this car yard, and they said it was great, and fell apart on the way home. No, I grew up. I never had anyone to show me about cars or things like that. But eventually my stepdad would show me more, and I didn't realize the value of it until he kind of showed me how toxic and how dangerous it can be when left. So inherently, I would have said not a big deal until it's something that's valuable. That, as you said, Jamie, eats away at stuff. You know what I mean? And yeah, I just think it really it's the unseen danger that we don't give time or attention to because it's unseen. You know, we focus on other things that we think are important, but when it comes back to the core of what we are, it's a massive deal to focus on.
Yeah, agreed. Jimmy, why is it important? But
And I'm a classic car man. You know that. I've got a classic car,
You do. I love it.
and it's got a little bit of rust. And I feel like the connection between actual rust in metal and what we are talking about, the analogy of having that rust within ourselves, is very similar. Because I mean, I know where the rust is in my car, and I think about it all the time. I think about how I'm going to treat it. What can I do to make it better, and how can I stop it from coming back? And I think us as men, we think about it, but we don't address it enough.
That's a good
and
point,
I think
mate.
that's the biggest problem with us. We know it's there, and we think about it all the time. Like it's on our minds. We know that we've got that little thing it's growing, but we just patch it up, repaint it, and move on.
Yeah.
So I think being able to address that and knowing when to address it, who to address it with, is the biggest problem. Because,
Absolutely.
I mean, that rust, once it does get to an unfixable stage, then your whole life's going to crumble around you, isn't it? So, I mean, knowing those signs and when to fix it properly is something that we aren't great at and we need to be better at.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, mate. Absolutely. Look, I'm likewise the same. I'm definitely a massive believer in giving rust attention, because I think the longer you leave it, again, and especially hidden rust too. I mean, we're going to look at this at two parts. The rust that you can see, like your car, there's rust that you see on your car, rust in my car that I had that I didn't see. So I want to look at it two ways, but I totally agree. The longer you leave it there, actually, funny story, just last year I tried to sell my boat as well, and I had my little dinghy. I think you might have seen it, Jamie, hitting around here for a while. Boat was,
Tip to everyone: don't buy anything off Wayno by the sounds of it.
Everything has rust.
Bring a magnet.
Yeah, I actually do like what do they call it? A tail light warranty. As long as you can see the tail lights, mate, as long as the warranty lasts. But I was trying to sell my boat for ages. Actually, it took me close to a year. And the boat itself, it was one of those 4.2 meter Quintrex dories, right? Unreal, flat bottomed. It was great. Little zip around to all the lakes around here. But the boat was in mint condition, but the trailer had rust on it, right? To the point where it was just went to the scrapyard. But everybody that came to look to the boat wouldn't buy the boat because of the trailer. So I took it off. I bought a trailer from an auction, picked the boat up with my excavator, put it on the new trailer, sold the boat to like the second guy that came in and sold it. But it was like the preventative, the trailer was preventing the boat from selling. So there's nothing wrong with the boat. It's just that the rusted trailer. So interesting story about rust. But anyway, let's keep this metaphor going with what it's like for us as men. I'll start with the first question. So I want to break into three, like I said. I want to look at what it takes to spot the rust, identify what is actually causing the rust, and then advice on what you believe fixes the rust. So first question I want to ask you guys is, look, we all know that men are great at looking solid. You know, the career status, the muscles, the money in the bank, smiling face. But do you think most men would hold up if the inspection went deeper than just walking around the outside? Most men. Where do you think most men are sitting in society today?
I think most men would probably believe that they would hold up, but have that sense of nervousness when it started to dig. And I think the great thing about most men I know, is if someone did bring something up that was rust, they'd attend to it, fix it, and sort it out. And I mean, I guess that's where we need to be able to identify that and get that help, right? Like, I mean, that's what we talk about that all the time, like, you know, not holding it in, not covering it up. So I think most men would probably be, lack of a better word, shitting themselves to get that deep dive into it, but would be accepting of it and then attack it head on and fix it.
I think you brought up a good point, actually, because I've found that men, when things are brought up, if a guy's a decent guy, if a guy's genuinely wanting, if not so much, I guess, wanting to improve, but guys just generally are open to be told if stuff's wrong. I think most guys receive that kind of information quite well.
100%.
Which you would think maybe they wouldn't, but they actually do. Like experience that I've had, especially in all the groups that we run and things like that. But even just with circles of mates.
Well, it comes back to that, what you just said, great looking, solid career status, all that sort of stuff. Like if you have been told that image of you that you believe is you has now this blemish, you want to fix it, right? You want to get rid of it so people aren't thinking of you in that way. So I think most men are pretty accepting of that sort of thing.
And I think the flip side to that coin too is if you see a man who seems to have it all together, your first question leading in is what's really going on? Well, you just tend to assume that guys are doing well. If the image is there, they're putting a good front on. Most guys don't want to go 2 questions in. How's work? Good. How's family? Good. How's the partner? Good. We go, oh, good. When are we fishing? We move on really, really quickly and not go, well, what does good really look like? We don't usually have the skills or we don't think past that point. If it looks good, it's good.
Yeah.
All right. I think so. I love that point, Jimmy, too. I'm the same. I think it's a bit of we don't have a deeper dive in ourselves to really ask those questions. And then so we just assume it's good. And we usually find out there's rust when a professional somehow sees something or someone else can spot something. Did you know that was there? And you're like, oh, stuff, I didn't. Oh, now I need to address it. So I think it's half sometimes people don't. The other half, I don't think we always see in ourselves the things that other people might. But if people don't ask, we just continue day in, day out and assume everything's okay.
Yeah.
And as you said, that hidden rust, we address the surface stuff because it's obvious and we don't want to put a bad image of ourselves forward. But it's the hidden stuff. It's usually even hidden from us. And that's the problem, I think, for a lot of guys.
I think if anything, it's the hidden rust that's more dangerous. I mean, even when I going back to trying to get rid of my a year ago.
Geez, you really caught up on this, aren't you? It really hit you hard.
It hit me harder, right?
That $11,000 you lost.
It's worth making more than that. Didn't take it to the dealership for that trade-in, I'll tell you that. No, but what was interesting is that when I did the same thing. I did this, I'm thinking everyone else does the same thing. But when I took it down to start getting all of the valuations done, I washed it before I went. Because in your head, you're telling yourself that if the outside looks good, everything looks good. Because in turn, when you do, give it a wash, those little nicks, those little things that are exposed, you can give attention to it. But it's the hidden stuff that I would have had no idea what to look for unless he said, mate, stick your head under, look at that. And I'm like, wow, I wouldn't even what to look for, where to look. But now that it's there, I go, geez, I'm lucky to have still been alive. Like, because it's not just the surface stuff, like we're saying, it's the little bit, it's the deeper. Look, I think most men, like we're saying, we're good at keeping shiny on the outside, but how many of us actually take the time to check underneath?
Well, I think the point I want to make is that if you don't think you have rust, if you don't think something's not right, then you're probably the one who needs to actually have a look at themselves the most, because we all have things that are going to challenge you. And, these are the reasons why you do those things that you don't understand. These are the reasons why people drink. These are the reasons why people gamble. These are the reasons why people act out or do silly things, because there's something inside that's making that happen. And, we were touching on that there's a shiny person and all the rest of it. Some of those guys who look like they have it all together are the biggest wankers out there. I think it's Tony Robbins who says that, money doesn't change people. It just amplifies them. If they're an asshole, they're more of an asshole. And if they're really a great person, they're more of a great person, sort of thing. So I think that if you don't think something's wrong, have a look at why you're sort of doing something. The thing that really got me on the sort of self-development side of things was I had this feeling that I should be a better person. Like I should be more than what I actually am. And it stuck with me for ages. And that's probably when I was at some of my most successful times, where the business was flying, the marriage was good, just had a son, all that sort of stuff. And it was funny, it came back on a Facebook post where I was like, I want to be a better man. Like, you know what I mean? And I didn't know what I should be doing better, but I think that if you don't think there's something there, just have some time with yourself and go, why am I doing those silly things? That's a really good indication where that spot is coming out on the outside, but maybe something a lot more deeper that you actually have to dig into there and find that bit. So
that also comes down to that self-awareness, though, right? Like, if you can call yourself out prior to someone else calling you out, then it's going to be a lot easier to fix, right? Whereas if someone's calling you out, then you've already gone too far. So, I mean, that self-awareness, knowing that rust is there, or that acting out, or you're drinking, gambling, all that sort of stuff, seeing those cues and actually taking that in and doing something about it is something that men aren't great at doing.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not usually intentional for us too. We don't schedule time. We don't deliberately put things in place to check those things often. It's more reactive. We're so busy in our lifestyle, we react to everything. So if someone said, mate, there's a chip on your car and there's rust, and we go, oh, I didn't notice that. I'll just fix it. But if there's no one in our life who can see those hidden things, or we're intentionally opening ourselves up to people who are going to be identifying some of that stuff, and we live reactionary, we don't put time into actually that self-discovery to go, why am I doing those things, or why is this impacting? We just go, you know what, I'll sort it out tomorrow. I've got too much on my plate. So I think being intentional about it, and even for cars, I have no idea. You put me under a car, I have no idea what I'm looking for. That's why I have mates who are good with cars, and I bring them.
If you get under Wayne's car, you'll see it straight away.
Well, I tried to use the excavator, but that's rusted out. So, but having people that will go, hey, because sometimes I can't identify stuff in me, right? As long as it's in my head, I rationalize it. It all makes sense. I can justify anything I want to justify. But as soon as I speak something out loud and I hear myself say it, I go, oh, that's dumb, But if it's in my head and I'm not talking to anyone about it, I can give 1,000 reasons to justify why I feel what I do, or what I do. And so having someone that you can have a space, like someone with a hoist emotionally, to go, hey, let's just chuck this up and have a look about it. Sometimes speaking to someone can start the process of like, I didn't realize that was not supposed to be there, or something should have been there. So getting help from someone, and it doesn't have to be a psychologist or a counselor. Sometimes it's just a mate. And we talked about this, Wayne, just grabbing a coffee and just chatting, putting yourself in an environment where you start to let others see under the car as well.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they have more knowledge and more experience to go, mate, that's actually not normal. Yeah, really? And I think then we're open to it. And so being vulnerable enough to let someone else have a look when you don't know, that's scary for most people.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's confronting,
Yeah, I think it's a step-by-step process, isn't it? Because one of your biggest fears, sort of thing, is that you're going to be judged, and you want your friends to look up to you, sort of thing. And the judgment is that you're going to look weak, or you're not going to be, or you're not the man that you sort of make yourself out to, sort of thing. But when you go to the gym, if you don't work on the weaker parts of your body, you're limited to how much you can lift or how strong you can be and all the rest of it. So part of the time is actually working out what your weaknesses are, so you can work on those and develop those. And I think, having, as you said, have those conversations, but it is a step-by-step basis, because you put yourself out there, and if you feel judged, you're not going to go back to that person again. So it's also part being a good mate and not judging them, going, mate, I know exactly how you feel. I know heaps of people have been through that. I've been through that myself. What you're feeling is normal. This. So I think definitely we've got to open up. But both sides of that situation have to have that sort of judgment-free zone in there.
It makes me think of, for example, the greatest basketball to ever touch a ball, LeBron James, as you can agree, Jamie. Right. Look at LeBron, right? Best.
I think I say Shane Hill.
You look at LeBron, right?
Yep.
Greatest player to ever play. Why would he need to be coached, right? Because it makes you go, well, his coach is obviously not a better player than him. But what his coach does from the outside is he's the guy that can walk around and see the putts. He can go, okay, I want you to do this. Give me 10 3-pointers from here. But the coach is the one that can stand behind and go, hey, listen, your elbow keeps punching out too far. If you can bring your elbow in. Because sometimes as a shooter, you can't see the elbow. It can also be your feet, can also be this thing. So it's not a matter of the people around you are better at things than you or better than you in that area. But there's a lot of the times the people around you can see the things that you can't see. Hey, mate, keep your elbow in. Hey, mate, keep your foot down there. Like golf. Like I can't stand golf. I hate golf. But when you got somebody standing behind a golfer, they can't see where the person behind you, they can see your hips, they can see your foot lifting, they can see so many things that you as a golfer, you got no chance.
We know. It's all in the hips.
It's all in the hips.
Yeah. Well,
you keep asking to come and show me.
There is a story about Tiger Woods who actually stepped away just as his breakthrough to learn a whole new swing, because the swing was only going to get him so far, and he had to so he could have actually gone and been a great player, yeah, but he wanted to be the best. So he took that step back and changed his whole swing and process, got a new coach and worked at it until so he could become, the greatest. And you'd agree with me that Tiger Woods is the greatest golfer.
I don't follow golf at all. Would never know.
Have you seen
Just like
LeBron?
Michael
Happy
Jordan.
Gilmore.
You seen LeBron play golf?
Actually, I got sent a video today of LeBron playing golf. He's actually really good. It's weird about sports people. They're good at everything, eh? If you're good at one thing, you seem to be good at everything.
Jordan would beat him there too. So
Jordan
would have a crack.
no,
He
Jordan's
tried.
an amazing golfer. Like really, really good. So
You keep telling yourself that, mate. No, I know he is. I know he is. I know he's really good. But I agree. I think the people on the outside. But it is. I think for men though, I mean, we've mentioned this before. Sometimes it's just that fear of being vulnerable. It's the fear of being. I don't want to be exposed. Why would I want to expose part of me that could be seen as a weakness? Because especially the front that men are supposed to have, strength and that kind of that machoism or that masculine trait of some sort that. He's a man. He should be able to hold it together. Because we talk about a fair bit on the podcast, Jamie, of the people around us, our families, our friends, and the world. Because we are men, there is that sense of you should be able to hold it together. You're sick today. Doesn't matter. You go to work. Like you're the man. You're the one that put your body on the line. Like there is that expectation, and we have it upon ourselves as well. And I think that in itself can become the weakness. Is that when you think that the world on your shoulders needs to stay there, and sometimes you can't just let it go and be exposed and be vulnerable and go, mate, I'm actually open to here where I'm, where's the rust I can't see because at any point I could break. I think that whole vulnerable and just being open, but it does, because even just saying that it sounds like a feminine thing to say, but the truth is we as men will never get better, improve or deal with hidden rust unless we do become that.
But I think it's your mates that you have to have that vulnerability too. Because, we're talking about it in the podcast with like the Queen's Journey and stuff. And if you want your wife to be in her feminine, she has to feel safe. And unfortunately, if you haven't got your shit together, they don't feel safe.
Yeah.
But you can be vulnerable to your mates. Because how many times has a mate told you a story and you're like, far out, I felt exactly that same thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we've got to sort of lose that fear or get better mates,
That's exactly where I was just going to go with that. I mean, we talk about opening up and being vulnerable and all that sort of stuff. And for the average Joe, thinking about who do I do that to? Are you talking about that I've got to go to a therapist, or can I open up to my wife? Can I open up to my best mate? I mean, that's your choice to make, and you need to make sure that whoever you do open up to isn't beating you down or saying you're weak or whatever like that. Because if you are saying that to a mate and they're saying, mate, just harden up, then you need new mates.
Yeah,
like they're not the people you need around your circle. I mean, you can only be as good as the people you're surrounded by. And if they are beating you down and not helping you fix yourself to be a better person, then they need to move on.
Yeah, 100% agree. I remember years ago, actually, when I think I would have been, 14 or 15. I remember going in to see my dad because the whole sex talk, birds and the bees talk was never brought up in the family, like ever, right? So I got to about, I think when I was 15, got to about 15, I thought, oh, maybe I'm supposed to ask, right? Already knew like little bits and pieces, but I remember going to my dad and going, hey, Dad, like, are we going to have like the birds and bees talk? Like what? Because I didn't know how to say it, right? I'm like,
he didn't give you the Discovery Channel, mate?
watch this, son. No, but I remember going to him and going, hey, Dad, like, can you, like, teach me, like you're my dad, try to teach me. And his response was, oh, mate, I was never interested in girls at your age, find someone else. I'm like, so it wasn't that I needed a new dad, but I definitely needed a new audience because I'm like, I'm actually asking a genuine question here to learn. So I think it's right across the board and anything. I think sometimes you've got to go exactly what you just said, Jimmy, and what you're saying, Jamie, like if you could put it out to your circle of mates and the response that you're getting is harden up, wrong audience. But I think start asking the question sometimes is looking for your own rust instead of just walking around kicking it.
Yeah, I think a good mate too will see something long enough to see a pattern emerge and go, hey, bro, I've noticed this. Is everything okay? And there's been times in my life when I haven't seen anything wrong, but I have a mate pull me aside, we'll grab a coffee or whatever, go to the pub, and he'll say, hey, I've noticed this a few times. Is everything good? And I go, oh, geez, I thought it was because I haven't seen it in myself. And I think that's the thing with rust. You can't have not rust one day and then check the next day and it's covered in rust. It's a long process of little gradual changes. And surface level people in our life, acquaintances, occasional work people, they don't notice those changes incrementally. It's the guys who are closest to us. And I think as men, we have a responsibility to speak up, to go, I've noticed some change over the last 6 months or the last year or since I've known you, things are a bit different. What's going on? Because it happens so fine. that we don't really pick up on it until it's left for 2, 3, 5, 10 years. And then, your car's falling apart. And I think it's the little things, and we know with rust, it's like water or something that's causing it, sitting for a long time in the wrong spot, starts to erode over time. So having mates that will go, hey, I've noticed something. And that's hard too as a mate, because you think, do I say something? Do I not? Should I bring it up? Maybe I'm overthinking it. I will just talk about fishing or whatever. So to have the courage to say something to a mate is just as vulnerable than having the courage to admit something to a mate. So we both are in this stalemate where we go, I'm good, you're good, let's not address anything. And it just, the rust continues to slowly eat its way out until something falls apart and everyone goes, geez, I never saw that coming. When you think about it, I did over the last 5 years or 10 years and no one said anything. So I think, there's a responsibility for us to try and see that, but also as a good mate, that we would be courageous enough to go, hey bro, can we have a chat about something? I'm noticing something. I might be wrong, but I love you too much to not say this.
Yeah.
And I don't think that happens enough.
I think practically speaking too, in regards to that, I think when we step into those situations and we go, oh look, it's either them not being vulnerable or I'm not being vulnerable. I think a lot of the times it needs to come down to also of practically asking a different question. Because I know I've said this to you, Jamie, I might have said it on the podcast before too, that if you give a man an opportunity to give you a one-word answer, he's going to give you a one-word answer. How you doing? Good.
Like a 9-year-old.
Yeah. How was school? Good. What'd you do? Nothing. But the question is so open that it deserves a one-word answer. One of the things that I was saying to Jamie, and one of the things we do in Average Joes a lot is instead of saying, hey, mate, how was your week? Good. We say, hey, mate, tell us about your week. Okay, well, yeah. Oh, geez. Oh, well, Monday was a bit tough. Tuesday got better, but like having practically the openness to not leave things where it can be answered one way, one word. So I think practically speaking, I think change the way we ask and change it in turn changes the way we're vulnerable. Some of the things we joke about, the things that we joke about as men, right? Drinking, porn, anger, emotional shutdowns. They are just quirks. They're legit warnings. How many men do you think actually see them as warnings and early signs of an internal collapse? You think our sense of humour in Australia just covers too many things?
Very little. I don't think too many men would see that as a flag. They just see that as having a bit of banter, going to the pub, living life. And that's like exactly what we're talking about. It takes those good mates to call it out, right? To see those warning signs for you, because the majority of men would just flag it off.
Yeah. I think culturally must make a massive difference too. I think Australia, like we talked tall poppy syndrome last time. Well, just the culture within, whether it's Western culture or Australian culture, but I think Australian culture laughs off or hides behind the whole she'll be right kind of thing far too often. And the moment you start leaving that as the cover of it, nothing gets addressed.
Well, one thing that sort of annoys me though is why are people so scared of being angry? Like being angry is a natural emotion. Like, you have your range of emotions. And so for everyone to be happy all the time, so you're telling me that if something really bad happens to you, you're not allowed to be angry? Like, it is natural for you to be angry.
Yeah, agreed.
It's how you deal with it though is the problem. Because I think one massive problem, especially for our youth today, is that they don't understand how to channel anger. They feel like it's the wrong thing. They're bad because they're angry about something. But it's like a natural emotion. If someone does something bad for you, we naturally get angry. So but what we don't do is actually learn how to channel that into an energy that's going to be productive or positive or something behind it. You know what I mean? And I think this is why people get, addicted to porn, because they're angry. They need a release, and that's an easy outlet for it. Do you know what I mean? Or why guys really struggle with mental health, because they get angry and then they're in their head for so long and they're like, I shouldn't be feeling like this, but it is happening and I don't know. So they just continually overthink it. So I think that, going anger is a bad thing. I think it's a mistake, because I think that if we don't know how to deal with our emotions over a period of time, like that's the mistake.
Yeah.
But that could also be a telltale sign for anyone if they're seeing you angry all the time, then that's going to flag some type of emotional deepness in you that they're like, oh man, he's angry all the time. So like we need to flag that and let's talk about it. So I don't disagree with you saying that anger is necessary. It is necessary, but it's also like if someone's angry all the time, then that's something we need to pick up on, right?
100%.
Especially if it's out of character. You know the person well.
Yeah.
It's out of character.
Yeah.
But I do think that those people are the people who don't learn how to release that anger. They just hold it in and they pretend that it's okay, but it's still there. You know, it's like the bucket that just gets filled up and they're just filling it with more and more and more anger. And before they know it, they're a 60-year-old man who hate life, you know, and hate everyone. And they get angry like that. People aren't like, I think that's because people don't actually process that anger. They get anger, they store it, and it just sort of, as we say, eats away at them sort of thing.
It reminds me of the water parks, that big bucket that slowly fills. There's always like an 8-year-old underneath who doesn't know the concept until it dumps and flattens them. You know, like when you see this outpour and guys like, I'm good until I'm not good. But I think the key thing there is, where do we learn how to deal with that? Because it's not something that's taught in school. It's not, you know, modeled usually amongst people we know that's modeled well. We're inherently just supposed to know how to do it. And if we don't, we get shut out or something happens. So where are we learning? You know, how to, because it's a very valid point. It's not a bad emotion. It's an emotion. You know, you don't go, hey, bro, you're too happy all the time. What the hell's wrong with you? We don't judge joy, but anger, valid emotion. Where do we learn how to actually respond rather than react? That's not taught anywhere, yet we're expected to know how to do it. If we don't do it well, you know, it comes back to you should know better. Where are we finding these, you know, in our spheres, in our environments? Where do we learn this as men?
Yeah. Which is what happens, right? As you said, you should know better. So normally when you get angry, it's normally because you're wronged. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden because you feel a certain way. So you've been wrong, but now because you've reacted a certain way, you're also doing the wrong thing too. And so I think that that's a big sort of thing. And, you know, and that's why, you know, that self-development sort of side of things and understanding and how to process things and how to talk about things and you know, learning that everyone has, you know, what we see isn't reality. It's coming through different filters and how our whole life stories and stuff. So, you know, anger and empathy are the two, you know, different side of things. And the only way you let go of anger is actually to understand what happened to you, you know, work through it and I guess forgive, you know, but if we're telling people that they shouldn't get angry, as you said, you're never going to learn that skill set. So
I think a lot of comments that come out is, this is just who I am. We can justify it really easy. I'm angry. This is who I am. Even to the point of addictions, this is just who I am. It's always what we do, but to make it easier, we say this is who I am because we don't have to really address it at that point. It's like it's out of our control. I have no responsibility. It's just who I am. But everything is a reaction to something. And I think, you know, having a mate, again, going back to it's not who you are, it's what happens. Let's address where that's come from. And generally it comes from something in, you know, that hidden side of things that we don't deal with. That's the who we are piece. What we see on the surface is the reaction or the addiction or the habit. And we go, it's just who I am. And instead of dealing with it, it's easier to find mates who also identify to that. And then I can just be normal again. And I'm a regular guy. And so we avoid these things, whether we like it or not, in a large capacity because we don't want to sort it out. It takes work. It takes effort. You know, find that rust. I'm really keen to hear what happened at the end of that story. You don't tell us what you actually did with the ute. And, you know, did you fix the rust? And then,
he's worried
or
we'll
did you
judge
go
him.
back to the first salesman and go, yeah, mate, 21's good?
Yeah, moving right along.
Do you know what I mean? But like to address it, it takes work.
Yeah.
And often we don't want to do the work.
I think you made a really good point there, that whole statement of it's just who I am. Because the moment, if you're a guy that hides behind that as one of your responses in stopping yourself from making change of like, oh, that's just who I am, it's, if anything, it's a safety mechanism that basically says to someone, you shouldn't have to, you don't have the right to ask me that again because now it's becoming personal. So it's kind of like a, well, that's just who I am. So then the person who's come at you with that kind of question then goes, oh, okay, well, that's just who he is. So it's now getting personal. So now I won't ask again. So if anything, it's a real shutdown.
Yeah.
It closes off all kinds of change.
Well, it's kind of true, isn't it, though? That's who he is at that time. So you know, and sometimes all it takes is just a little bit different wording or putting it somewhere else. Is that that's who I am right now, but it doesn't mean that that's who you can be.
Yeah.
Do you know? So it's like when people say, "Oh, this is I'm broke," and it's like, "Oh, I don't have that much money right now." But or I'm not yet rich. If you were looking at things sort of and putting them into statements over time, well, you always want to state what you're going to be, not where you're at right now type thing, because that way it gives you that openness and it gives you that mindset to go, there are possibilities. And I think, that's the reason why people are just stuck in their ways, because they're like, as I said, this is who I am. But there's a reason why that's who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a story you're telling yourself that's making you be that person.
I want to go back to one of the things that you said, Steve, about that whole that bucket at the theme park, because it got me thinking. I remember like going to what's the one down at Wet and Wild, or is it the one at Gold Coast? And you do after a while, because when you have young kids, like got 4 kids, I've had them all go through those younger years, and you take them to those theme parks, and you end up sitting around there as families. You get a little table and that, and you're looking, and you watch that young kid that body isn't built to cop the water that's about to come down. So you're watching, like, oh, this is going to be great.
You don't warn them. You watch them. You're like,
Exactly.
this is going to be epic. This kid's going to get.
Your wife tries to look, no, wait, just wait. Sure. It's about to happen. It's about to come. But what's interesting about it is, like, there's that anticipation, but you don't know exactly when it's going to. It's not like it's 13 seconds, because sometimes it could be 14, sometimes it just seems to be this whole, you don't know when it's going to actually drop. You've got a bit of a time frame you can kind of guess, but it's breaking point, you don't know. And I got back to when I was looking at trading in the ute, and he said to me, mate, you probably shouldn't even drive it out of here, because this is like, this could crack at any second. And I think that's the difference between, like that kind of rust that's structural and hidden compared to surface rust. When you look at surface things on the outside, you can scratch away and go, oh yeah, I can keep an eye on it. It's not too bad. I can kind of judge, give it to my mate, gets back, who's a panel beater, he's away for a month. It can last until then, compared to the hidden rust that's on the chassis that's quite important. You don't know, like, there's no guide to say this will break on 12th of September. You're at risk. It could be at any time. And I think a lot of the times guys hold back, waiting, like you were saying before, Steve, about that reaction thing. I think a lot of guys just hold back going, oh, I think I can kind of judge when I've maxed out, when in reality, that for men, it's not that, because men suppress emotions so much. We give it up when it's too late. It's like, no, I'm done. Like, boom, it's broken. And you see that with relationships. Like, I've seen relationships around us in friend groups break, and you speak to the man, and it's happened so instantly for him, because there's no emotion attached to it really. It's come as a surprise, because he hasn't been able to judge it, because there hasn't been that. It's all been reactive. And you see guys, sadly, I mean, what about buddy, what's that? Robin Williams. Funny guy, all the money, all the laughs, takes his own life. And you go, that's not surface rust that just gets chipped away and patched and painted. That's deep level hidden stuff that's been there and corroded for such a long time that it's all of a sudden happened. And you go, we stand here as an audience going, wow, I'm so shocked. He's not shocked. Been battling it for bloody years and years and years, but it's that hidden stuff. But again, how do we know? I think that's what I want to move on to the next part in regards to like identifying what feeds it, because at the end of the day, we can't judge. When I drove out of that ute, that car dealership with my ute, I had no idea how much time I had left before the ute was. And I knew I was driving with a risk. And I think a lot of men, we live with this risk, not knowing.
Well, let's put it back to before we move on though, right? Why the hell wouldn't the guy who's doing your servicing pick that up? Do you know what I mean? So I think that having people in your life that can spot those things, professionals, if a car salesman can spot it, why wouldn't a mechanic spot that?
Yeah, that's a good thought.
So I think that, every now and then we do need to actually have, a little bit of time to actually go and think about whether this is the person that I want to be. Like every single retreat or coaching that I've done or anything like that, I have never regretted spending the money on it. I've never regretted spending the money on it, because it's given me something that you might have paid 10, 15, 20, 30 grand for, but it's changed your whole life. Like, and when it's something changes here can make such a massive difference at the end road there, you know. So and it can change the whole trajectory. Jeez, I hate that word.
Yeah, all of those
Which
were right.
visuals, yeah.
Change the thing.
Yeah, but it can change a whole where you end up. So I think that yes, it's good for mates to do it. Yes, it's good to notice sort of stuff, but also don't be afraid to invest in yourself to actually go.
You bet.
What do I want? What do I want to be better at? Or, you know, am I think that if every single man sat there honestly and went, am I the man that I want to be or that I could be? I think they're going to go no. Like, I think like I've never said to myself, the way I am right now is perfect. Like, you know, there's always room for improvement. There's always room to progress. And I think investing in yourself and having people that are actually, you know, qualified or even if they've got one thing that you would love, the one aspect that you would love to have, you can learn that from those people. So actually, yeah, invest in yourself to have that spot check. So
Absolutely. Well, I want to move on from spotting the rust to identifying what feeds the rust. And before we got started here, I was having a chat with Steve before, talk about how, like sticking with the whole car metaphor, every time you wash a car with water, right? But water pooling into a certain part of your car for too long can be detrimental to the car itself. So in one point in that car's life, you're washing it and it can be totally beneficial. But the build-up in the sticker angle can also be the very thing that actually causes rust. So identifying the rust in our lives. So rust, or written down here, that rust never roars in, it actually creeps in. It lies there. It's buried betrayal. It's a wound that's never had time to heal. But at what point do we stop and ask, what has all the silence really done to us? We adapt to dysfunction, start calling it, that's just how I am. What kind of damage do you think that causes over time if it just sits there unaddressed? I think we've kind of already answered that anyway.
yeah, I know what you mean.
We did actually.
Well, look, I guess one point with it though is what kind of water are you using too? Like if you're on the beach, you're more likely to get rust.
If you're washing your car with salt water, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. But so
really?
Hang on, so I think it's a few things where, like, what are we surrounding ourselves with? You know what I mean? Like, what are you eating? What are you drinking? What are you doing? That sort of stuff, because that can be some of the causes.
Lifestyle.
So, yeah. And also, are you doing the maintenance as well? So, you know, when you go on the beach, the first thing you do, the last thing you want to do after a week in the camping is wash the underneath of the car, you know what I mean, and wash all the salt water off it. But you know that's what you need to do, because if you don't, it is going to rust or something's going to happen. So I think that, you know, we need to have a look at, yeah, it's okay to like enjoy yourself and live your life and do that sort of things, but you also have to have the maintenance on the other side. You know, life is about balance and making sure.
That's a good point. I hate washing the car. Like, I am terrible at washing my car. Like, I'm so bad. I hate it. I would much rather take it through a car wash than go and wash the car. But you made a good point. Last year I went to Fraser Island with Lisa and just the two youngest boys. And when I got back, I knew I had to. It wasn't no longer about making it look nice. It was about, I knew that we'd gone through so much salt water. That was no longer I want to wash it so it looks nice. It was if I don't wash it, it will eventually be something else. And I remember when I was washing it, getting all the sand out, and I'm thinking to myself, if anything, that comes down to a discipline, because even just before I've damaged my knee, I've started to implement disciplines around health, because I know you and I have had these health chats for some time. And I think tying that into what we're saying before about things being reactive, I think a lot of men, let's just stick with health for a second, a lot of men don't do anything with their health, talking like a bloody, with their health, other than it being a reactive response. Oh, I've had heart checks because, you know, blood pressure's gone through the roof, so now all of a sudden I'm putting attention to myself. But I think you're right. I think if you wash your car quite often, you would pick up on the things that you need to pick up on. And that comes down to a discipline. So when you're looking at yourself in your life, with your marriage, with your health, with your business or whatever, it comes down to a discipline and maintenance of walking around the car, looking underneath on a regular basis, and actually knowing what you're looking for to go, hey, I need to give this attention, other than just being reactive of just because you've taken it on salt water and washing it, but washing it every week in our lives, instead of just saying, oh, I better take the missus out for dinner, it's been so long. No, make it a regular thing. instead of just going, haven't been to the gym for a year, might go this week, make it a regular thing. And all these changes, I'm speaking to myself here as I say this, because these are the disciplines I'm always working out myself as well. So I'm definitely not out of the mix there. But I mentioned before about, toughening up and things like that. Taught to soldier on. Do you think silence is the first sign of the corrosion in the life of men? Do you think silence is the first one when a man goes into the background?
I think we're sort of like, we talk about that a fair bit on the podcast. Is we once we realise something is wrong or we're not feeling right, we curl up and we hold it all in and we don't let it out. So silence would be one of the first signs. So I mean, if you are seeing a mate walk around and he's not himself, and again, it keeps coming back to you being aware of your mate's personalities and seeing those signs. Silence is definitely one of the first signs.
Yeah, I think, and that key word hidden, when you said to me, we were talking about rust and then you said hidden rust, anything that's hidden generally is destructive, right? So people might know what rust looks like in their life, but everyone knows what they're hiding. And if you ask yourself, what am I hiding? That's a really good telltale sign to then start to address some of this stuff. And I think every guy would know if they're hiding something, that's not, a mystery to people. They know they're hiding it for a reason, hiding it from mates, from partners, from work, for whatever. If something has to be hidden, then over a longer period of time, it will create destruction. And that's what we see. Rust is the hidden things not addressed, even things that aren't even bad. As you said, water. Water's not inherently bad for a car unless it's in the wrong place for the wrong time, and it can develop into something quite tragic. And I think in our life, if we're hiding anything, at the time we're hiding it, it might not seem like a big deal. But if that goes for a period of time, we're still hiding it, they're the things we have to address and go, why am I hiding this? And I think, that's a really good telltale sign, not just silence, because some things we're silent about because we don't care about and it blindsides us later. But other things, if it's deliberately we're hiding it and we're intentionally hiding it, massive telltale sign, this needs to be addressed quickly or it will develop into something at our core level, like your Colorado, that's just like, mate, I wouldn't even drive this anymore. So I think being silent, but also being hidden.
Discover multi-award-winning real estate with podcast sponsor One Life Property Group, based on the Sunshine Coast, Queensland, specialising in everything from high-end duplexes to multi-residential developments, ensuring the highest quality workmanship. Visit onelifepropertygroup.com.au today to achieve excellence in your next property development.
That's a good point. I remember when we had you first on, Jimmy, we were talking about the camera's always rolling. It's like things that aren't, use the word, I guess what Steve's saying about hidden, but things that aren't generally seen by everybody else, if you can keep them not exposed, those are, if anything, that is the telltale sign in itself to go, hey, that's the thing that needs to be addressed. Because I think you're spot on, mate. Anything that's hidden, that in itself is the flag. That's a really good thought, mate. I like that.
Well, you think about the dating world, right? Isn't that the biggest challenge, where people are presenting themselves as the best version of themselves, and then 3 months later, they're actually totally different people. So I think that's why it's so hard, where, people aren't actually, I think it's a Japanese thing where they say everyone wears like 3 masks, and you've got the polished one on the outside, which is what you want everyone to see. You've got the level of like crud in between the two that sort of sticks, and then you've got the real person who you are inside. And that real person who you are inside is absolutely amazing, but it's all you're worried about everyone seeing the crud, all the things you're worried about. That's there. So I think that, if you're going back to what the car was when it was new, it was great, but it's the things that's happened to it that's actually, that you're worried about people seeing and where it's affected it. So
that's a good thought. Before we got started again, I was having a chat with Steve, and Steve said something great, that surface rust normally is a result of damage. Like if you cop a little nick on the side of your car and it breaks that paint seal, you're going to get that little bit of surface rust. I remember, I think it was my dad saying, one of the best things is if you cop a nick and you can't get to it right away, like can't get it sprayed and fixed up, that is it like clear nail polish kind of like seals it over again. But normally it's the knocks we cop in life that cause a lot of the rust, like the exposure to things that cause the rust.
I did say that. That's good. Yeah. What else did I say? That was good. I don't remember.
But as you said, Steve, though, is that it's actually learning how to deal with that those issues. You know what I mean? And actually dealing with them, that is the key.
Well, timing's everything. Like I said, like if you cop that nick and you can just at least put something on it now to stop the rust, at least coming through, you can still give it attention and have it fixed. So I think timing's everything. So I think it's men. I think you just brought up a great point. I think it's men then. We're copping knocks in life, emotional, mental, doesn't matter what they are. If there's something that is knocking you in, it's hurting. It's not a matter of addressing it right away to solve the problem, but if you can give attention to it right away to at least go, right, I need to monitor this. This has been exposed. I've noticed this. Because that can be in anything with, your marriage, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you can at least put a mark next to it and say, I need to get to this before it's too late. Massive key.
Yeah. I think that combines what both of you boys are saying. Like, yes, we have mates in our life, and there's some point we need to see someone who's got a professional basis that can actually go a bit deeper. That's a great point to merge those two is, yes, we have mates, and that might be the nail polish for now, but acknowledging, hey, I'm glad we can talk about this at the pub. The next question is, what am I going to do about this in a more professional nature if it needs it? Because it's one or the other, it won't work. It's just addressing it with mates. Great. What's the follow-up step? And being accountable to someone to go, hey, in 3 weeks, I'm going to call someone, or we're going to do this together. I think I'll probably use emotionally about 6,000 litres of nail polish on stuff in my life. I just keep coating it and just learn to live with it. And after a while, you don't see the mark anymore. And someone goes, bro, what happened to your car? You're missing half a panel. I'm like, no, it's good. Another bit of nail polish, true. Right? And what is a standout mark in a perfect car? Because when you buy a car and your mate goes, oh, that's awesome, mate. What's that bit? You're like, frig, bro. Like, I just bought this. Can you just say nice car? Like, why point that tiny bit out? But after a while, if we don't fix it, it becomes part of our car. And we just go, oh, I don't remember when that happened. And we start to live with it. And I think this is the problem we deal with as guys is in the moment we go, I'll sort it out later. I'll justify it later. And then after a while, we go, it just is what it is. And we start to live with it and we live compromised, in some capacity. And it affects us in our work, in our marriage and in our health, all these things. And we hear people talking about important things like sleep and food. You mentioned health before, like going to the gym, being active. I'll sort it out later. And we live with those marks, just keep putting nail polish on instead of going, I'm actually going to address this. And I think exactly when it's an investment of time, it's investment of something. You pay bills your whole life paying for stuff, but until you invest it, it's not intentional. A bill is a reaction, an investment's intentional. And I think we need to be intentional about sorting out some of these things and go, I'm actually going to take action. And I said to you before we started, something's important because it's in someone's schedule. You've invested time and money. Until then, it's just a conversation. When it's serious, you'll move on it. And I think as guys, we go, yep, I'll sort this out. It's important. Well, it's not important until you've actually taken action. That's when you know it's important, and being accountable to someone as a mate to go, hey, didn't you say last week you're going to sort this out? There's got to be that level of accountability with that vulnerability to get movement, I think.
100%, mate. And you were saying that before we got started. I remember mentioning too that that in itself is brilliant. That I'm going to walk away myself thinking that very thing, that it's not important until it's scheduled. Because we say so many things as men. Oh yeah, mate, we're going to do this. Oh yeah, what date you going? Oh, we haven't put in a date yet, but we're going to do it.
Yeah. Okay,
so it's not that important to you then. Yeah. Until you go, oh mate, we're going away on a fishing trip. Oh, when are you going? Oh, we'll leave on the 4th of. Oh, really? Okay, so you are going. Compared to, oh yeah, we're going to get to that when? Oh, well, no date set yet. Well then, it's not important to you.
Because we'll always feel challenged by this conversation.
Yeah.
No one's not going to feel challenged by this. But challenge wears off really quickly. Change comes when you actually implement something. So you can hear it and go, yeah, it's right. Probably should address that. Another beer, another snitty, and then you move on next week and you've forgotten about it.
Yeah.
Like you have to move from just hearing about it and feeling challenged to what am I doing now? We jumped about 17 questions ahead. But like that action piece, that's just like, again, with your car, what actually happened? It's a great story. Where's the follow-up? And the follow-up is what brings change. I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I don't want to.
Well, I think, all right, so when you spoke to the guy, right, he seems genuinely concerned about driving it out of the yard, didn't he? Yeah. But this is because he's a professional in that area. And so, and I don't think it always has to come from professionals. I think it has to come, I think men have to tell their stories, the things that they've overcome, like more often, because then that can become relatable and that can go, because there's so many things that, like, who's ever read a book or you know what I mean,
No.
watched the movie.
You lost me.
Damn it!
You lost me. I read a book.
Listen to the
Oh, listen to one.
Yeah, listen
I've done a few of those.
What you mean movies?
But yeah, or movies. Yeah.
They're good books, those ones.
Yeah.
What's your favourite book?
But actually went, wow, I didn't know that person went through all those challenges. You're like, I thought they had an easy life. I thought that this, and all these things came up, and you're like, no wonder they became the person that they were. But I think that, you know, humans, we learn from stories. That's how we first learn how to, you know, what to do, what not to do, and that sort of stuff. And I think that it's important for you to tell your stories. And I think in Australia, we've got a massive issue where the tall poppy syndrome, you don't like to promote all the things that you've actually done because people are going to cut you down. But what they're doing is actually missing the opportunity to learn from that story on what's going on that relates to you and how to, you know what I mean? And why that sort of rust came through or why that situation happened. So he saw it and went, mate, you could die from this. Do you know what I mean? Like this car could break, like go over a bump, it could break and you could kill yourself or kill someone else. So sometimes without knowing the story or how far it can actually go, you know, that's the reason why we don't do anything about it. But if someone's been in your situation, go, oh, mate, I've seen the direction that you're going and I was on that direction and it cost me this and it cost me that. If you knew what the cost was right at the start, you would change it. But it's just the pain isn't big enough yet. So
Well, it's that willingness to change, isn't it? Like if you can see yourself going down that road and someone's telling you that you're going down that path, are you going to divert and make it better, or are you too pig-headed and you just continue on that route until it's too late? I mean, I think that finding that and listening to that and taking all that on board and actually taking that turn into a better place is where we need to find, right? Like we need that in our lives to help us.
Yeah, spot on. Going back to what Steve said about, I've just been thinking about the whole, you know, when you get a new car and, you know, you're excited about the new car because you just got it and things like that, but then someone points out something, but because it's so new and fresh to you, you're kind of okay with it at the start. And it made me think about a month ago, a friend of ours gave my older son, Caleb, an old ute. It's an old Volkswagen Amarok. And he's like, oh, look, I'm going to give it away, but if Caleb wants it, he can just have it for nothing. So Caleb's stoked because now he's gone from like this little tiny Lancer to like this big man's ute, right? So he's pumped. He's like, oh, wow, this is unreal. So he's washing it. And on the back door, the back corner, so where the back door closes, right where it closes on the body of the car, it's obviously been open and hit something, but it's got this like big ding and it's got paint missing. It's a white car. It's got paint missing and it's got a lot of surface rust on it, right? So he's washing the car and he's all excited. He's pumped because he's been given this car for nothing. It's a ute and he's like, wow. And when you look at it and you go, oh, mate, check out the ding. He's like, yeah, no, it's all good. I don't care. And he doesn't care, right? He's just happy that he's got a ute. But when you're looking at this metaphor we're trying to explain here about rust, a lot of people do that with, say, like, for example, with relationships. You see a relationship, people get together and someone notices the rust, but because they're so overwhelmed with the excitement, oh, you know, I really like this chick, but yeah, she's come from this, but I'm all good with it, man. Like, I'm all good. But people that have had those rust spots in the past will be like, yeah, but that's actually more of a red flag, mate. No, but they're caught up in so much excitement that they leave. But they do that with business too. Oh, got this new business partner, man, he's unreal. Oh yeah, but is that the same guy that's been bankrupt 5 times? Yeah, man, but he's changed since then, man. Like, and doing all this, and you go, all these things that other people are pointing out, you need to get past the excitement phase. You need to get past the newness and go, yeah, it might be new, yeah, it might be exciting, but let wisdom kick in for a second and hear the outward speaking in, because those little things that you're okay with now, no one else has been okay with in the past, and it's not ended well for them. And I think as men, we need to stop and go, yeah, you're right, mate. Like, instead of pursuing this business or instead of pursuing this relationship or instead of whatever, get past the excitement and the whole, oh, no, look, mate, should be right. We'll get past that. Will you, though? It's affected many people in the past.
Jimmy, you said you're a classic car guy.
Yes.
My father-in-law, my stepfather, sorry, massive classic. He's got a Chev from 1925, 100-year-old car, original paint, original engine.
I had a 26.
Wow.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
red truck.
I think my joke is still original driver. So Dad's an awesome guy. He doesn't know tech, so he'll never hear this. But it always fascinates me because he still goes out and drives it. He drives it interstate. And I go, how's that even happen Like I have a car for 5 years and I'm like, mate, it looks like it's 400 years old. But when you value something, right, you will do what it takes to make it last longer.
Yeah.
And so things like if you're a classic car guy, if you're looking to buy a car, how much does rust play into that? Because you know that if it's going to stand the test of time, that's a really big thing to sort out. So I think in our own life, if things are valuable, we'll probably will put the work in, but we devalue so much stuff to be like, you know what, this is my relationship for now. This is my health for now. But if things are important, you're going to be married for the rest of your life or have a good job or whatever. I think we're forced to address it because we find value in what we've got, and you wouldn't leave it go if it's valuable. As a classic car guy, you'd be like, it's awesome, full of rust, but I don't care about that. No, you want it to be restored back to where it's
100%.
wanting to be. So rust for you is different to rust for me because this is the car I'm driving now. I honestly don't care if there's a bit of rust on it because I know it's going to be gone soon. So if we value something in our life, even ourselves to that degree, I think it changes how we would address things when we know, well, this is me for the rest of my life. Am I okay to, metaphorically drive this forever in the condition it's in? If it's valuable, we go, no, I'm going to get this sorted.
Yeah.
But if we're so focused on just trivial stuff and in the now and momentary and no vision for our life, I think we can just let it go and go, it's all good. Not a big deal. Well, it's a big deal if it's going to be important to your life. Yeah,
Absolutely.
So if this relationship is a big deal, then sort it out. If your life, your family, your health is a big deal, then sort it out.
I think that's a really good point, especially when you're looking at yourself. That's the one thing you're stuck with your whole life. Your kids, probably the same sort of thing.
I think you're going to say, kids, come and go. But you, it's important.
Good nuance.
Kids, the same thing. But there is guys out there. There is guys out there in a relationship where there's just too much rust and the car won't be saved. You know what I mean? And sometimes making that decision of trading that car in is the best thing that might ever happen to them because you can't cut out the rust. It's too far gone. It's
You talking about taking your wife into trade her in? Is that where we're going with this?
Get rusted, mate.
Don't go to the guy he went to.
Undervalues them too much.
Well, if you're going to trade her in, you can let someone look under the hood, mate. But the point is, though, is that like my divorce was one of the best things that ever happened to me because it actually made me go, okay, I need to actually be a better person. You know what I mean? Like there is things that I need to improve on or I want to be a better person. So the next relationship that I have is better. And I think people with jobs are the same sort of thing where, if they're in a job that's putting the rust onto them. Sometimes leaving is the best thing where it's like, it's not a repairable write-off anymore. It is a write-off,
And rust is transferable. If something's touching, rust does travel in between.
That's a good thought, mate.
And so amongst mates or whatever, work, career, relationships, whatever it is, if it's not addressed and you've got people in your life that are in your sphere at a close enough thing, whatever is affecting us, and this is the thing I come across all the time, and I've done it myself, I go, this is just affecting me. Right? And I don't see that it is somehow affecting all those people in my sphere. I mean, Wayne, go back to this famous Colorado. You do drive it home. You do have an accident, hit a bump and it falls apart. You're not just at risk. Potentially wherever you're at, everyone around you is now at risk of you driving that. And I think as guys, we see the fallout from, it happened to one person. And marriage is a great example of that. But the fallout is partners and then kids and then family and then that affects how we work and how we show up in our health. And we tend to go, this is just my rust. It's fine. I just don't want to deal with it because I don't want to address it. The reality is whatever is touching that in our life is going to be affected by that. And if we're not careful, it is transferable in our emotions, the way we show up for people or don't show up for people. I think that's such a great point, Jamie, is just be careful. Like, this is not just us. This is not just our story. This is everyone's story in our sphere. And I think as guys, we've got to take ownership of that and say, it's not just for me, but it's for my mates, my kids, my partner, my work, my health.
Yeah. Well, it's the ripple effect, isn't it? Like, I mean, everything you do. I mean, we use it in RAP, which is our road attitudes and action planning that we take out to the high schools and talk to the learners and that we talk to the learners and the P-platers about, that decision you make. If you decide to drink drive and crash your car and kill yourself or kill someone else, it affects the first responders, the first people on scene, your family, their family. Like there's so many people around you. So if we're talking about this rust that is transferable through you and to other people, like if it's affecting you and you're acting out, you're angry, you're, secluding yourself to something, you're affecting other people, aren't you? So being able to recognise that and fix it is where we need to be.
You're spot on. How many Steve and I would know this because Steve and I grew up in the youth group together, so dealing with young kids for quite a long time. We've done it for years and years and years. And you've seen kids in the most like outrageous circumstances of just like rough kids in schools and kids that are the delinquent kid, the one that's causing trouble at school and things like that. And you go that little bit deeper in your story and you go, oh, mate, tell us your story. And how many of them go, oh, started when dad left. And you go, really? Started when dad left. And you look at, not to blame the dad by any means, and not to blame the mum either, but you look at the breakdown of the marriage or the relationship. So something's either happened within that, but the ripple effect is now you've got this kid acting out a certain way that goes back to when mum or dad have separated because of something. So it's the ripple effect of that you go, it's not just you. It's an amazing thought because literally that's what he said. I mean, when I drove out of the car, he's like, mate, you not just kill yourself, you can kill someone else. And
that dad thing's so important. At least my wife and I are watching Alone, the latest series, and I've got a mate who was on the Australian one, so I love it now. But all these stories are coming out from all these people on Alone, and everything tracked back to, I want to make my dad proud, or I never knew my dad, or I'm doing this in response to this, or if only he could see this. I said to my wife, not one person has mentioned a broken relationship or a struggle that comes back to mum. Every comment was my dad, usually in a negative light. But I went, man, like when dads don't show up, the ripple is huge. Like it's, as you said, Jimmy, the trajectory that you go on, and everyone gets affected by that. But I was just like, no one's mentioned mum. Wow. Mum's usually there, faithful. I look at my story. My dad left when I was a kid. Don't talk to him at all. Never really seen him. My mum was the hero of my story growing up. Yet, although she did a great job, all the impact of my life that was an issue for me stemmed from my dad never showed up for me. And so even as men, I think we've got to make sure we realize this is not just our story. There's other people in this story.
I think there's two sides of the story of that though, where a lot of the time it's a dad who's kept away and there's been lies. There's been, things that have actually happened that my mum, so same thing. We left, didn't see my dad from 8 till 21. And I actually had to call him up and say, hey, mate, I called him up on my 18th birthday, said, I'm turning 18. I'd like you at my 18th birthday, even though I haven't seen you in 10 years. And he said, mate, we've got harvest. I can't leave the farm like at that time, but thanks so much for the call. And you know what I mean? Yeah. And we'll come and do that sort of stuff. But, he came to my 21st. And then so on my 21st birthday, I met my dad for the first time. So, and his wife was saying it was the saddest thing she's ever seen because it's two grown men who are so alike that are getting to know each other. And I said, mate, why didn't you send me any gifts? He said, I did every year. Why didn't you send me any cards? I did every year. Why didn't you call? Because I never could get through to you. Your mum would answer and hang up. Mm. Yeah. Why did you not fight? I did fight. I spent $30,000 in lawyers' fees, and then I got threatened to stop. So you know what I mean? So I think there's two sides of those stories. There's so many times where that dad has been pushed away so many times, and he's like, and every time you get pushed away or rejected, that's got to be heartbreaking. So I think that that's a possibility and that's something that happens. But also, if you are in that situation, if you are a dad out there, don't stop fighting. Yeah. Because if you stop fighting, your kid is always going to wonder, why didn't you fight for me? Do you know what I mean? Like, so that, because that is going to be a core wound and something that's going to happen. So.
And we've mentioned on the potty before too, just in regards to the system. The system's screwed. Like one of my really good mates. Oh, it's terrible, mate. Like it's beyond. Like one of my really good mates has just moved to Dubai. I won't get into too much of his story because I've touched on it before, but his story just comes to mind so much because it breaks my heart. I was with him the whole journey. It took him 18 months fighting for his two boys to even just talk to them on the phone, but they were hidden from him, like held back from his wife or ex-wife now. And it's just the system itself is designed. When you look at the ripple effect, like you're just saying, Steve, like it's always seems to be the dad mentioned. If the dads are that important, which we know they are, why is the system working against dads being in the lives of kids? Do men stuff up? 100%. Are we giving a free pass to men? By no means at all. Men make mistakes just as much as women make mistakes. We're all in that same boat. But the system just seems to be against men.
Yeah.
But we all know the importance of it. You would have, both of you boys would have loved having your dad around. I doubt. Like I would no doubt agree that you would have. But I mean, like in regards to have a dad around, not so much have your dad that you've got around, but have a dad around.
Yeah. So if the system is cooked when things haven't worked, the question is, what systems do we put in place so we don't get to that point where we're now reliant on an external system to solve things for us? I think this is all part of this conversation is what are we putting in place as the system? Again, the investment, what system are we putting in place to make sure this is not just reactive again? And not everything will work. We understand that. There's always going to be an exception to the rule. But if I don't put some kind of good system in place in my life, it's only a matter of time before those things become rusted out. And now I'm dealing with the fallout. And I think, as you said, we don't want to wash our car. We have the option to not wash our car. But if we don't for an extended period of time, stuff is just in there now.
Yeah.
And we've missed it. And where there's no self-discipline, there has to be discipline later. We can't avoid discipline. So as men, what does it look like for us to put systems in place? How do we do that? How do we find that? Who are the people that we put in our life to be in our corner to make sure we don't get to that point?
It's a great question. What is the system? What's the system we need to put in place?
Well, I think one of them is creating a group of mates around you. Like, because that is part of the situation where you're like going, okay, they're noticing something that's not right and being able to hold you accountable. Like this morning, like I said, we're sharing that story and it's like a personal story, but I was like, was I overreacting with that? Is the way that I'm feeling with that, am I overreacting with that? Because sometimes you need that sort of feedback. And men who don't have men around them will become people pleasers. That's what happens. Because we try to please everyone else around them. Unless you've got a mate that goes, no, actually, that's pretty justified. Like the way that you felt, that's fine. You know what I mean? Like, but it's so easy for someone to go, oh, I'm the problem. But yet I think a lot of the time where some of this rust comes in is where you create that doubt. You don't have a mate that goes, actually, you know what? No, you're totally justified to feel the way that you felt. And it's okay for you. The new age thing is setting boundaries. But I think that, we hear about everyone going, oh, you need to set boundaries, you need to do that. But also men need to set boundaries too and go, I'm not gonna be talked to that way, or I'm not gonna be treated that way. I'm not you know what I mean? I'm not the person that everything just gets dumped on me. So I think that creating a good group of mates around you, and as you said, Jimmy, like you only rise to the people that are around you, so to the level of the people that are around you, actually get out and create that sort of that group where, and this is what Average Joe's is about, isn't it? It's about challenging men to be better. It's not going and getting drunk at the pub and going, oh, how's your day? Good. How's the wife? Shit house. You know what I mean? Oh, how'd your team go on the weekend? Oh, they lost again. I don't know why I put myself through it.
You support the Tigers?
No.
Thanks, mate.
No, Parramatta. But yeah. But do you know what I mean? Like, like get those guys around you who want to be better. So
I think giving them permission to say, hey, if you see something, call it out.
Yeah.
We expect that people will call it, but I very rarely want to call things out, even in my mates, because I go, oh, maybe, I don't know, I feel awkward sometimes. I think just giving them permission and communicating enough, because guys don't communicate. Generally, we don't. But to go, hey, man, if you see something in my life that doesn't stand up to who I want to be, can you call it out? And then be in a place where we're humble enough to actually hear it when it happens. That's a real big thing, and that's rare amongst guys to actually have that kind of level of communication. Now, probably won't happen every week, but if it gets to a spot where you go, I'm actually going to have that conversation, I would want someone in my life to go, as you said, Wayne, the golf swing. It's all on the hips, bro. I want you to get behind me sometimes. Just put your hands on my hips and say, it's going to be okay.
Yeah, mate.
But you know what I mean? Like, we don't have that perspective all the time. But a good mate will go, bro.
I'm going to challenge you on that, though, because we do have that. We have that on the sporting field every weekend, you know, where we hold each other accountable.
To a task, but not an emotion.
I know, but this is what I'm saying is that it's not like it's not in our nature to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and every great football team that I've played for, one of the most important things that they had was accountability. And it wasn't accountability from the coach, it was accountability from your teammates.
Show up for your mates.
Yeah, because that's the one that mattered the most.
Yeah.
You know, you didn't, like, you would put yourself in harm so you didn't let your mate down. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
great point.
it's not that we can't do it. We need to actually create more people doing that.
Yeah.
I think you brought up a good point about the whole sporting thing. You look at a sporting field. Let's just look at NRL, for example. Everyone knows the position they play. If you're wearing number 1 in your back, you know, and your team knows you're playing fullback. If you're wearing number 7, you and the team know you're playing halfback. Number 9, everyone knows you're playing dummy half. If one of them's injured, and if dummy half, which it happens quite a lot, if dummy half gets tackled, someone needs to, for that period of time, step in, take that role, but generally everyone knows where they're supposed to play. If someone's playing out of position, let's just say the winger comes in too far and someone then scores in that wing, you look to the winger and you go, mate, that was your role. You actually weren't living up to what your job was. That you're not doing what you're supposed to do. And I think that's a great example to look at. As men, you need men in your life to go, mate, you're a married man, aren't you? Yeah. Okay, well, right now you're not acting like a married man is acting. You know, keeping us accountable to those very things. You're not playing your position right, mate. Oh, you know, it's a weekend away. Yeah, but you're not playing your position. You committed to this and you stick to this and it's what you do. And that can be used right across the board in anything, relationships, health, business, whatever. If you're running a business and you're out there doing chunky deals and things like that, you need people in to call you out and go, no, but that's dodgy, that's wrong, that's this, that's whatever. Because if you know the number on your back and the team knows the number on your back, they know what you're supposed to be playing.
And that team's so important because there's a lot of people. I love when you're in the crowd and there's always some fat guy who's yelling out, you should have done this, you should have done that. If I was there, I'm like, bro, there's a reason you bought your jersey. He earned his jersey, all right? So maybe just shut up for a while, champ, because you can't even get out of your seat, let alone make that tackle. But all these voices are coming, but it's so true where we put value on what voices are important in our life. Because we're going to hear a lot of stuff.
Me on the weekend, on watching UFC on the weekend. Oh, you should have.
Throw a left, mate. Like, shut up, mate. Even
run it straight, you soft. And you're like, mate, what are you talking about? You're 3 pies in, bro. But do you know what I mean? There's so much noise around this space. I think it's really important not to hear all the noise, but get what's valuable. And that team around you is valuable. Because your teammate says the same thing. You're like, you're right, bro. I'll show up. Someone in the crowd yells it out. You're like, well done, champ. You know, you throw something back at them. It's not valuable at that point. And I think understanding that, you know, there's a lot of noise around this sort of space. But what are we putting value on and making sure they are a part of our team and not some random who's going to call it out on us? Because I don't listen to crap from people who don't know me, but someone who knows me well, that's personal. Sometimes it's, you know, harder to hear, but we go, oh, I'll take that on because he's valuable in my life and I respect what he has to say. And like forming that team is really important as a guy. We're never doing this alone. Let's say you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go with people. I think that's important.
I think, do you guys think, though, when you identify what feeds the rust, a lot of the time we're not doing the things that fix the rust sort of thing? Like, I know if I'm in a good situation, I'm doing things that I love. So golf, you know, going surfing, watching UFC, barbecues, spending time with friends, you know, this sort of stuff. But I think that if there's rust around or if things aren't good, like, do you think that we sort of actually do things that feed the rust subconsciously because you feel like you shouldn't be doing the good stuff? Have you ever been in that situation?
Well, what's the good stuff?
The good stuff are things that make you feel good. You know what I mean? So things that are good for you. So when I go play golf, you know what I mean? I'm challenging myself mentally, walking, et cetera, et cetera. When I go to the gym every morning, you know, I feel better. My life gets better. You know what I mean? If I'm going for a surf in the mornings, my life gets better. You know, if I go out, kick the ball with the sun, my life gets better. Yeah. But if you're drinking, you know what I mean? Life gets worse. If you're eating unhealthy, life gets worse. So I think that knowing what fills you up and knowing what's sort of bringing you down and sort of separating those two and actually having a look, because sometimes subconsciously you do things because you don't feel like you deserve to be what you're trying to achieve, sort of thing. So I think your actions and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis, that's what also will identify whether you're what's feeding the rust or not.
And it's easy to pick up on too. When you're watching somebody else, it's easy to pick up on what people are doing for you to go, that's what they find important, that's what they prioritize. You can see it. Because I know you're at the gym, I think you go 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Is it? So I look at that and I go, I know that's important to you because of the effort you put into it. I know that you're there at 4 a.m. You're awake at 4 a.m. every day because that's what you do. That's a priority to you. I know when Lisa and I, we got married, again, we were so young when we got married at 20, but I remember making the promise and making the commitment that it was a one-off thing for me and I'll make this last. And we get, I would never ever say criticised or laughed at by any means, but we do get a lot of people go, guys are going out for dinner again. Yeah, we are. Because I've from day one wanted my marriage to work. Like I get that marriages break down. I get it because I know you and I have had this conversation. I totally understand it, and there's many, many reasons as to why. But for me, Lisa and I have always put like huge amounts of effort into one-on-one time that is recreational, romantic, sentimental, things that, because from the outside looking in, people go, you can't have for dinner again, just you two. Yeah, because it's outright important to me. This is going to last, and I know that the things, if the kids were always the priority and the kids was always about the kids, I've seen that break down. My own family broke down because kids were the number one priority. Do I love my kids? 100%. I've got 4 amazing kids that absolutely, but my wife is the priority. Kids are very, very close behind, but my wife is my number one. And you can see with men. So I think one of the things when you're looking at rust from an outsider's point of view into a life of a mate, you can see where he's putting attention and where he's putting time and the things that he's not putting attention, not putting time. I think those things can either be red flags or they can be indicators to say, mate, I know that part. Like I look at you with fitness and I go, mate, the guy's always going to beat me in an arm wrestle. But then I'll be looking at other things and I go, hey, look, as a mate, not trying to judge you at all means, but I can see in this, man, if you're okay with me just letting you know, I've noticed a little bit of rust around here, man. But I know because of the relationship you and I have, you're open to that. And I'm totally open to that with yourself too. I've given you that, what's that word? I've given you the right to have that input into my life to say, hey, just letting you know, mate. Because actually, Chris is perfect for it. Chris is always, he's normally on the panel with us. He's always at it. He's like, you're getting fat, Wayno. Like, oh, thanks, mate. Whoa, straight to the point, buddy. Could have come a bit nicer. No, but you're fat. All right, thanks. But he has the right too. I've got the right to speak in his life, and I quite often have those conversations too. And I think any man, any good friend can see the indicators from the outside, whether they're flags or whether they're good things.
I think one thing though is I believe you should be the number one priority, because you can't make other people happy until you look after yourself.
100%, man. We've had that as a podcast, haven't we?
Absolutely.
Put yourself
so,
first.
and I do agree with you 100% that, relationships or your wife or your partner, like the reason why they break down is because one person gives up. You know what I mean? Or one person isn't prepared to change to help the other person. It takes 2 to want that to work, which is amazing that's happening, you know? And I think that that happens all the time where the guy, as you said, the guy has no idea there's something wrong, but there is something wrong. And he's probably doing something wrong, you know? But also a lot of the time it's women who go, no, I'm perfect and I deserve more. And then the guy's just doing the best he can. He's not getting appreciated for the other stuff. So I think that you guys having that mindset straight from the start is something special. You know what I mean? And that's the way that you should be going into relationships, going, we're going to make this work together and we're going to make the relationship a priority. But I always think you need to be the number one priority in your life, because you have to put yourself first, because no matter what you're going to be, whatever happens, you're going to be okay, but you're always going to have yourself. So I think there's so many times where the unhappiness comes because you're not doing what makes you happy. So
good thought, mate.
Yeah.
I'll close with one more question, boys. If you were to walk out of here, or if you were to stop listening to this podcast or stop watching this podcast, and the number one thing on your mind was, okay, I want to look for some rust. I want to identify it. I want to lift up the hood. I want to put it on a hoist. I want to have a look. What's the first thing you do to find it?
I'd talk to my wife. First thing I'd do is talk to my wife, and then like if it's something, because sometimes they don't feel that they could tell you that there's something going on. Even though they know it, they may feel that they can't bring it up without some kind of reaction or something like that. So if I know my situation, because I know my wife would tell me straight away. If I felt something wasn't right or something just didn't feel quite right, I felt like I was, not driven to be a better person or driven to make my life better, I would ask her. I would say, is there anything that you've noticed that I'm not being myself, or do you think there's any stresses in our lives that we need to address to fix that rust? I mean, that's my opinion anyway. That's where I'd go.
I had exactly the same answer. I was literally going through my head is I would look at my wife because, I was going to say the closest person to you in your life, and for me it's my wife, and I would say that very thing. Don't tell me where you think I'm doing wrong, but where could I do better?
Yeah.
And I think any man walking out of here, listening to this podcast that wants to give himself attention and do well, go to the person closest to you and just say, where can I be better? Where can I do better? What can I do? Steve?
Yeah, I had the same thing. Straight away, I was like, my wife is that person. She knows me best. She knows what's fake, what's not, what I'm hiding. So that's stolen. Thanks. So the next thing would be though,
thing is, if you can't do that, like if you can't go to your wife and do that,
what are you hiding?
What are you hiding?
It's a red flag.
Your wife or what?
It's a good
like
thought.
if they should be your number one.
Yeah.
Straight to what's going on.
And if you're hiding, there's probably rust there that you got to address.
Exactly.
The other thing I'd think about when I went and bought my car a little while ago, I took some with me because I know nothing about cars.
Don't take him.
We wouldn't make. We broke down. Something broke in the chassis. I don't know what it was.
It'll be like, this is washed very nice.
Nail polish.
Ooh, shiny. No, but all he took with him was a torch, small torch. And the reality is you can't see what's not in the light, right? And I think having someone, we all sort of already mentioned that, having someone that's close to you that can see things, but I think if you're not willing to put your life, those hidden things into the light, if it's hidden, as we talked about, hidden rust, it will continue to go. And I think for me, not necessarily just the type of person, but what am I willing to actually bring into the light? Because nothing can be addressed until it's actually seen for what it is. And to have someone who can put a light on those things, when it's personal, it's really hard. It's really hard because we want to hide little things that we go, well, I'm happy to show this, but not that extra piece. Whether it's shame, whether it's guilt, whether it's whatever it is that's feeding that, we often want to show what we are happy to show. So to bring someone into that and go, I'm going to put all my life into the light so we can actually really evaluate it. The right person, but also the right environment collectively, I think is such a great thing to do. Hard, but valuable.
That's a really good thought, mate. Bring it into the light. That's a great thought. Jamie?
I agree with you guys, especially with the wife sort of thing. And there was an exercise that I did which was fantastic where and I was single when I did it, so I didn't have a partner or a wife at that time. But what I did was actually sent a message and said, look, I want you to tell me about my strengths, my weaknesses, and all the rest of it. I actually sent it to my ex-wife. I actually sent it to a couple of friends. I sent it to some business associates, and I sent it to some mentors. And it was a great exercise and like the start of the question going, hey, look, I want to be a better person, and this is part of it. Whatever you say here, I'm not going to hold it against you. Like, I just want honesty with this because I want to be. I know I'm not perfect, and I want to know where I can improve in my life. And that was one of the coolest things. Do you know that ever happened?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Was there anything came back that you weren't aware of?
I'm going to say no. There was things, as you said, that shined a light on something that I kind of knew, but maybe it wasn't. I thought it wasn't as obvious.
You knew the rust was there.
Correct.
But you hadn't addressed it.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I thought it was surface, but you know what I mean? Obviously it went deeper and into that sort of stuff. And it is actually funny is that the more work you do, the deeper you go. because you think that you fix something until you get that trigger again. And I think that would be my point, is have that open mind for those triggers. If something's coming up for you emotionally, actually, rather than pushing it to the side, actually have the strength or the courage to actually go deeper into that and try to find, where does that come from?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. Because if you're watching a movie and you start crying,
Our domain, movies.
yeah.
Now you're speaking to me,
If
Jamie.
you're reading a book and you start
Reading
crying,
a movie.
that's just weird.
If you're watching a movie and you start crying, there's probably something there. You know what I mean? When you're like, ooh, okay.
Unless it's a dog that dies. Everyone cries when a
100%.
dog dies.
Something
Why are there
dogs-
more cat dying movies? I would watch them over and over again.
Because that's how you'd react.
Yeah. So heightened emotions and triggers. So if you're reacting a certain way to something, that's a clear indication. Yeah.
I like it.
That could be a good exercise for our listeners at home to do. I mean, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take that exact exercise that you were talking about and send a text out to a few people and tell me my strength, tell me my weaknesses, how can I improve myself. I think that's amazing. I think everyone should do that.
I was actually even thinking, like, could you do it where, say, you like pick the 5, not say so much influential people in your life, but say pick people in your life that you value their opinions. But what if you say you sent them a letter and said, send it back with no name and no address? No, like, I don't want to know. I want it to come back from all 5 people, but I don't know who said what. I just want to read it. Because I wonder if I sent a letter out to 5 people and said, hey, answer these questions for me, be brutally honest. I want to know, I want to improve myself. When you write it back, just write, Dear Wayne, don't say who it's from, don't put anything on the return envelope. And then I'll get all 5, so I don't know who's written what, and just read through them. And that way you're not going to be, I can't believe Bill said that, the bastard, cut him out of,
Yeah.
But you could just be open to the whole, well, I don't know who wrote what, but I'm open to it. And I think it's actually a great exercise. I think I'm actually going to do it.
Yeah.
If one just says you're fat, you're like, thanks, Chris.
Just not send him a letter. Well, guys, thanks for joining us on the panel again. Really good. Steve-O, thanks for your first time, buddy. Jimmy, thanks for coming back, bud. Jamie, as always.
Thanks, boys.
Fellas, thanks for joining us here on the podcast. And like we say every week, hit up the website, find out where all of our meetups are if you want to get along to one. Jump on the website, get some merch, all that kind of stuff. But fellas, thanks once again.
Thanks, guys.
See you, boys.
Thanks for having us.